Hi, it's Paul, and today I'm an old man with a knife, a hot knife that is, for cutting rope or webbing or whatever. Within this box is a Dominox or Dominox electric sailing carpet styrofoam EPS etc. hot knife. But before I get to that, I just want to take something out of the box that doesn't belong in there. So this is a hot knife blade. I bought this in February 2023. It's now November 2024. I bought this in February 2023 with the intention of trying to turn this, which is a Weller universal soldering gun, into a hot knife. And at the time I thought it would work. For anyone that thinks the same thing, I would say don't bother, because I couldn't get it to work. Maybe you will, but I certainly couldn't get it to work. In fairness, this is probably a good 40 years old. Still works as a soldering gun, but sadly not as a hot knife. Anyway, I discarded that to my memory, and I came to a situation where I wanted to cut some webbing. And you can do it with a pair of scissors or a knife, and you can seal the end over with a lighter or whatever. Here's a convenient bag full of bits of webbing of all sorts. And I needed to cut some. I initially started off with some 40mm webbing that I was using for making belts and stuff. I think, in honesty, I've used all that up now. I don't think I've got any left. But I've got various bits of 25mm, 30mm, and goodness knows what else. So I wanted a hot knife to cut that. And I saw this on Amazon for $69.99 in August of 2024. So I bought this in the February, didn't work, so I stuck it in the side of the garage, and in August of 2024 for £69.99 I bought this Dominox rope cutter. It's still on Amazon today for $69.99, the same one. I'll stick a link in the description if you want to purchase it, which will make this an advert, so I will put the obligatory message on the screen and on the description and wherever else that the ASA decides I need to put it. So this is a hot knife. Now, when I bought it, this is the cheapest option that was available at the time, and when I read through the reviews, one of the people said, oh, this is no good, it doesn't cut polystyrene. And I thought, well, maybe that's because it hasn't got one of these blades. The only blade it showed was this one, which is fine. And I thought, maybe it hasn't got that, but I don't care, because I don't want to cut any polystyrene or foam. So I bought it. Also, there were models that showed like a foot that goes on the bottom of the hot knife, and you can cut fabric through it. And I thought, I don't need one of them. So I didn't buy the more expensive versions. I bought this one. Let's put that aside for a moment. And this is what you get. You get the box, you get a wire brush, you get the hex key to put the blade in. So I can put the blade in, tighten it up, and we're good to go. As hex keys, to be honest, I quite like that, because you can spin the bolt down and tighten it up. So, unboxing done. Let's chuck that away. So what we can do is we can plug it in, before I do that, I'll just run through some features of it. It's got a variable heat setting, just some sort of potentiometer inside it. The white mark doesn't come on it as standard. That's the mark I've put because that's about the right heat for cutting most of the things I cut with it. It comes with the 2 securing bolts. It doesn't come with these nuts, I'll tell you about them in a minute. And it doesn't come with the extra 2 securing bolts in the bottom. I will tell you about them in a minute. Let's just plug it in. Okay, plugged it in. If I pull the trigger, I get this little flashing light. And I will just get something to cut upon. As I say, I've already got it set. I did that by just experimenting with different settings until it worked. Now, one of the things it says is you mustn't leave it running for more than 15 seconds. It says here 15 seconds only. I've approximately ignored that entirely. So switch it on, give it a moment or 2 to warm up. And away we go. And it gives a nice cut end without needing to go over it with a lighter or without it fraying or anything like that. It doesn't do my MDF bench any good, so I wish I'd brought something in to cut on, but there you go. Doesn't look like it did, and I can't be bothered to go back to the garage now. I need to replace this anyway. So webbing, fine, no problem at all. Different bit of webbing. Bit heavier stuff this, but nonetheless still cuts through it perfectly and seals the end up. So that was great, and that's kind of what I wanted it for. Well, that's what I wanted it for at the time. And then I made the sunshade for the pergola that's out in the garden, which is made out of vinyl. And so I wanted to cut some vinyl. This isn't the stuff I was cutting with it, but this is the heaviest fabric I've got. It's a sort of heavy duty vinyl stuff. No idea for the life of me where I got it from, but I can pull the trigger. And I can cut it, not realising that I was actually cutting through trying to cut through 2 layers there. So that's 1 layer. Let me just show you that again. So I used it to cut the fabric that I made the pergola cover out of. I made some cushion covers and I used it to cut them as well. And it was fabulous, except for the fact that what I realised was I needed a massive area to cut it on. Usually because I haven't got a lot of space in here, I take stuff out and cut it on the decking when I'm using scissors. And of course, I've got composite decking. If you watch the video on my composite decking, you'll know all about that. I can't cut on composite decking with a hot knife because otherwise I'd have scars in the decking. So I needed to be able to resolve that issue. So I built this. So that's preventing the blade from going onto the MDF. And now I can cut through a sheet of material somewhat messily. Normally you'd hold both sides. And there it goes. It cuts without destroying the material underneath. You need to make sure that the blade isn't sticking out underneath, etc, etc. Or you can tip it up off the floor a little bit as you wish. And genuinely I would recommend buying the tool with the shoe on it. But nonetheless, because I'm a cheapskate, I made it myself because I had a bit of 1/8 plate lying about, and it works good enough for what I want, especially if I were to have tightened it up properly. So let's stick those back in there. And that was fine. And just in case anyone's wondering, because I actually saw this on the review today when I looked at it on Amazon. Will it cut rope? Yes, it'll cut rope. Here's the end of a piece of rope. I'll give it a bit more heat this time. See, the LED goes solid. And there you have it. It does stink, I will warn you that. Whatever you cut with it, it's a handy thing to use outside because it smells blooming horrible. Because you're burning plastic or whatever. So that's a heavy old bit of rope. Can't remember where I got it from. To be honest, I can't remember where I got any of this from. Here's a thinner bit. Straight through it, no problem. This is a piece of shock cord or elastic or bungee strap or whatever you want to call it. So it's got some rubber cores. And it powers through that. But it really stinks. So, as I say, be warned, maybe do it outside. But it works. So it cuts rope, it cuts fabric. And as I said, I never wanted it to cut foam until I wanted it to cut foam. So then I recalled that somewhere in my garage was this blade. The only problem is, well, A, it's not the right blade, and B, it didn't have the right fittings, but I thought, oh, I wonder if it'll work. So I took the bolts out, screwed them right in to get it to tighten up, and they didn't tighten up, so I added these nuts on. And okay. So that's now tight. As I say, I went and dragged that back out of the garage. I got that on eBay, I think, $5.99, February last year. And I thought, right, well, let's see if it will cut some foam. Okay, polystyrene foam. I think I need to give it some more welly on this. Polystyrene foam. Different bit of polystyrene foam. Three bits of polystyrene foam. So yep, cut polystyrene foam. This is the sort of foam that they make shadow foam boxes and stuff out of, like toolbox lining and toolbox trays and stuff like that. Flies through that. So that's good. This is a bit of furnishing foam. This is from when I made the cushions. This could well make a difference because this is fire retardant. There you go, once it's warmed up enough, it does go through it. I probably want some more heat on that. That's a neater line. This is, I think it's a sort of closed cell foam that I use for packing. Whizzes through that. This is another closed cell used for packing. This is another piece of lining foam that came out of some delivery box or something. Same stuff again. That's the closed cell stuff. More packing foam, different supplier. It seems to be the open cell foam that it struggles the most with. I'm sure there'll be someone out there with a reason for that. But it does do it. The reason I originally wanted it for cutting foam was actually to do some pipe insulation, some outdoor external pipe insulation that I put on my mother-in-law's house to stop all the external pipe work freezing over the winter. Typical sort of thing, condensate pipe freezes because it was done in the old school way and not piped up into a drain properly. But anyway, I digress. So, Dominox rope cutter, hot knife. Does it do the job? Yes, most definitely. Genuinely, if I was buying it again, I would buy the same thing, but I'd look for one that came with the polystyrene or foam cutting blade and also the shoe, because I think that's really worth having if you're going to cut fabric. It very much depends on what you're going to cut with it. If you just want to cut rope, that's all you need. If you just want to cut bits of webbing, that's all you need. If you want to cut foam, you need one of them. If you want to cut fabric successfully without scarring whatever it is you're cutting onto, you want one of them. And I think it was about 15 or 20 pounds more to buy it with all the extra accessories. As I say, I was just being a cheapskate and thinking I didn't need all the extra bits, and in this instance I do. But nonetheless, I managed to modify it. It does the job. It does exactly what I want it to do. Have I run it for over 15 seconds? Oh yes. I don't know how long I've held the trigger in for it, probably a couple of minutes. And the world doesn't seem to have ended, not that I've noticed. Probably the electric meter's flying off the wall because it's spinning round too quick. Yeah, old school electric meter. But Very happy with it. As I say, I'll stick a link in the description to the Amazon site, which means this is an advert. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.